SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
I'm supposed to ask Steve about light bulbs to start the show. I don't know why this is a big deal. I don't understand what's going on here.
Oh,
Jesse,
you'll love it.
Jesse seems pumped about it, so I feel like it's a good idea. What'd you do?
So, we need light bulbs for the office.
Now, so let back up. First sentence, back up.
I don't understand.
We don't need light bulbs.
Yeah.
We went down to the basement, and Steve wanted to change the light bulbs because he does not like the hue of them. So right now they are the yellow homey hue.
They're a bit nightclubby, yeah.
And he wants the white hue.
Nightclubby?
Well, it's like a
Do you
lounge.
usually club in an interrogation room?
Well, if you're gonna turn them to white, they're gonna look like an interrogation room. The yellow is like the it's like the calming thing. If you're gonna turn it to white, it's like hospital.
So
No.
it's not that we need light bulbs. It's that Steve's preference is the white ones over the yellow ones.
Okay. And I don't have any objections to this. And
Neither
I'm
do I.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
I don't care.
That's why I'm very
So
supportive.
then what's the friggin' problem, Jesse?
I just thought it was important that we get that out there.
So you're changing the light bulbs?
Yeah, so I went to Home Depot yesterday.
Yeah.
And I did so in North Ajax.
Good.
No, it's not.
I hear good things.
They lied to you.
Okay. All right.
It is an undrivable safari wasteland where you will die immediately because there are so many damn cars.
Yeah?
And you'll get mauled by a leopard, a leopard. And I went there, and I was very proud.
What about a Jaguar?
And perhaps a Jaguar. I was very proud, and I brought them in today, all 15 of them. Because why get a little pack to make sure they're the right ones? And
I knew it.
they're not the right
Those
ones.
damn pot lights are so hard. So here's what you do with pot lights. You take one.
You give up and just leave them is what you do.
You take one.
You leave them until
and
they're
you
all
go-
broken, and then you just sell the place.
And you go to the lighting people
Yeah.
in the lighting section. It's a very specific thing. Lights are fucking hard. All right. And you go to the section and you go, hey, do you have one that matches this? Well, do you know how much voltage? No, I have no idea.
I have this one,
I have
and
this-
I need this one.
Find this one, but in the color that I need.
And on the way back to my car in the parking lot, I was mauled by a Jaguar. And it was very
So you
sad.
bought how many light bulbs did you buy?
Steve came
15.
He came in this morning, pumped.
bumped.
I'm working, and Steve comes in, just runs downstairs to go change these light bulbs.
You could say I was glowing.
You were glowing, yeah.
I like it. I like it.
And then all I hear from the basement is, "Fuck!"
Oh, you did hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As Steve goes to change one. And
I think
they're the
for
wrong
relevant
light bulbs.
context, because people are gonna be like, "You guys are being awful hard on Steve." Steve, how many times have you used that room?
Never, because it feels like an interrogation room. And I just figure, I don't know, we're going to eventually bring more people down there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was trying to show some initiative, and it didn't friggin' work.
I was very supportive of this whole
I
endeavor.
was too.
Yeah.
I would have suggested bringing a sample with you, but you know what I never understand too. If you got
Me!
if you're switching out your
As a
light bulbs,
concept? Sorry, what?
If you're switching out your light bulbs, what do you do with the old ones?
In my experience, which is watching the film 40-Year-Old Version, you just hang out behind the office
and just smash them.
smash them.
The fluorescents.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm grateful in this building we don't have fluorescent lighting. It's the least. Like, I feel bad for teachers. I had a teacher once that used to shut off the lights in the afternoon when it was sunny outside because he's like, you know what? I think we could all use a break, and I can remember that. And we're actually
that's why it's
the
bad
lighting
to be
in this
a teacher.
studio is actually very, very benign. Like, it's easy. But there are times when we're in. I used to remember from BT or even in the studio where we normally do the show, where the lights are so bright like the rest of the afternoon. I just want it dark. I can't. I don't want it.
I know what you mean. I understand.
And so now, once the lighting project's done, have you spoken to Jesse? Because I'm assuming you consult with Jesse on this. Have you spoken to Jesse about what the next project is for Steve around the building?
Yeah, we have actually.
What's the next project?
What is that?
We're gonna get album art of all the shows, and we're gonna.
Yeah,
put it up.
that's an ongoing project. I
Yeah.
feel like that was started before the light bulbs, and then that took a pause because
the light bulbs
took priority.
And you can see why. I mean, you can see why. You understand.
Don't try. Don't make an effort. Just,
Definitely get real estate with your friends because it's the best.
Oh.
I'm having fun with this.
oh my God. Absolutely terrible.
That's a good question, Adam, though. Like, what other tasks can we give Steve?
Well, no.
Because the furnace, can't give him that.
No.
That's
Oh, no.
Yeah, because the filter. We can't
He
do
doesn't know the filters.
No.
He's going to smash one in that's not the right
Jesse,
size.
I didn't know there were different sizes.
Jesse, the other thing I want to say is we can't give it to him. He has to come up with it on its own.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to be good enough if we come up with it. Because it would be useful.
It has to
if
be
we came up with it.
self-motivated.
Yeah, it's
You have
got to be
look
like
at something.
Like, okay, so just to give you an idea,
It's called ADHD.
Steve decided one day that we needed stuff in the office. He's like, I'm going to go grocery shopping. We're like, okay. And I'm thinking like he's going to get, creamer for the coffees or whatever. He comes in with granola bars, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
And then like
Drew asked for them.
bananas and apples. I'm like, bananas.
Jesse asked for fruit.
Adam's dying. So
I should have got cough syrup.
Bananas that last like 4 fucking days.
Yeah, because I eat bananas. And I know Jesse wanted apples.
Bring them in on a Monday. They're already like
And
brown
you wanted my
on a Friday.
despair. Coming right up. Got it for you, pal. Here it is in abundance. The one resource that never runs low. By the way, Adam, one of the things I bought on my run was honey halls. Would you like some?
I would love some if you can.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's had this, but there's this thing going around right now where it's like a cough, but it never gets into your
Being
sinuses.
a loser?
Yeah, it's called being a loser. No, it's I caught that disease years ago. No, it was like it doesn't get into your sinuses or anything. Like it's just in your throat and in your lungs. And it's the craziest thing. I've had asthma attacks while I'm sleeping this week.
You ever tried not having asthma?
I know, it's crazy. But like I haven't had an asthma attack in years, and I've had 6 in the last couple of weeks. It's crazy.
one at ice hockey.
Yeah, one at ice hockey, which was sort of
that's
self-inflicted. And then this has just been like I woke up last night again and I was like, man, I can't breathe. Like I gotta.
You ever tried sucking it up?
I should walk it. Next time I gotta walk it off.
Yeah. Back when people only lived to 35, like they didn't have to deal with that.
That's right.
They were just men.
Guys, we could have retired by now.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God.
When
that'd
people
be
lived to 35, like I'd have been in Florida right now. Golfing.
Would have been out.
I'd have 6 months left.
You're a terrible golfer.
I'm a terrible golfer.
Or mowing the lawn.
And I hate it too. I have no patience.
Yeah, you don't like golf.
I like golf. I love watching golf. I love the idea of golf. But golf itself, like, first off, like Drew and Jesse are great golfers. But Jesse, you're athletic. And I feel like you go, I'm going to do that. And then you do it. You know that's not the way for everybody. For other people, It's like, I'm going to do that. And your coordination's like, no, you're not. Actually.
No,
It's crazy.
everything's time and effort. You know, if you put enough time, if you put enough hours into anything, you'll get good at it.
Kiss my ass.
That's
That's
Just
so not true.
No,
That's so not
It
true.
is so true. If you put enough
He's trying to
hours-
Malcolm Gladwell at
It takes
10,000
you-
hours.
No, it's true
It
though.
takes you fewer hours. Like, do you understand?
Yeah.
But
way
everything
fewer.
is in terms of like athletic things and just you want to get good at golf. Golf is just hours. Just man hours.
Okay,
but same with skating. Like skating is just man hours on the ice.
Okay,
as long as you're willing to put those hours in, you can get good at it.
I
You're much
agree.
better, by
I
the way.
agree, but I can tell you that if you and I had both started at 7 years old playing hockey, because that's when I started, I was 3 years after everybody else, because people are maniacs in this country.
When did Leo start?
Well, so this was the thing. I'm like, okay, he has to start like within the next year, or he's going to be behind. So I guess,
Behind what?
I guess I'm
Right.
I don't.
I'm sorry, are you sending him to the show or something? Like, are you going to be one of those guys?
No, I want him to like make money, so he's not going to go to the NHL.
Okay.
No, I'll have him do something else.
Okay, influencer maybe.
Yeah.
It's just hours. Like
It's just out. Yes,
if we-
but Jesse,
Yeah.
you have to admit, if we had both started at the same age and we were both born in the same year, who's going to be better at the end of 10 years?
am I putting in more hours than you? Am I
We're
more
putting the
dedicated?
exact same hours.
Then we're about the same.
No,
depending.
we're not.
Well,
No, we're
that
not.
then if we're the exact same, then that depends on a bunch of other factors. You know, then we get into little things like
Listen,
athleticism. And
You can't tell me little things like athleticism, which is what I'm saying.
Like, I don't know, maybe I gained other skills in other ways, and that translates over to hockey.
Okay.
I'm saying once we break down that barrier of us equally practicing at the exact same moments, then you get into all of the other like advantages, like genes. You know?
Well, you're pretending that that athletes, like professional athletes, aren't different human beings.
No, they are.
Like
one of my favorite things. One of my favorite athletes is Michael Phelps, just because of how differently he was born.
Yes,
he's born with limbs that make him more like a fish.
He's shaped like a flying.
Didn't he have webbed toes too?
Yeah, he has webbed toes, and his arms bend funny. Same with
the
joints in his knees. Like, he's literally born to be the greatest swimmer of all time, and I think that's such an incredible thing. Plus, he did all of the work, plus all of the training and the special things that he does in his daily life. But like, yes, once we get into the practicing portion where we're doing equally, then we get into like, hey, I was born with this advantage. Then
yes. So okay. I also think it goes sport to sport depending on the human being.
100%.
Like baseball, I never played baseball outside of t-ball, but every time I step and play baseball with my friends, I'm one of the better players on the field.
You probably have like really good hand-eye coordination naturally.
Yeah, I can snatch things.
Incredibly competitive.
Extreme.
Adam and I played one game of friggin' softball.
It was a great game.
And then COVID shut us down, but we were the 3-4 hitters in the lineup, and we went back-to-back home runs.
Yeah, it was so sick.
Awesome.
Back-to-back.
I had to hustle mine. Jesse's just went.
Did you pimp
gone?
It? Did you pimp? Did you throw the bat?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't do that.
They were both inside. There's no wall. There's no
There's no end
to hit it over, so they're all just inside the park home runs.
Yeah.
Did you stare down.
We were just tearing it apart. I was so excited.
We ended up losing by like 8.
Yeah,
but
Jesse
it was
and
like 16-8 or something.
Heart of the lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, Bichette and Guerrero, but when they were good.
Yeah.
This is the most heated sports discussion I've seen this week that didn't involve Tim Peel.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, I think that discussion, by the way, might have been the most entertaining thing that happened on Twitter this week.
Easily, I was so sad that I was on a plane for most of it. Yeah.
Oh man, you know what? Honestly, with that discussion, you didn't need to see it in real time. It was better after he had tweeted, and then Speck had DM'd him, and then he posted the DM, and then Sarah Volley jumps in and is like, "Hey, don't you berate kids
from the top rope?"
And are you gonna drunk tweet this and delete it? Like, man, just it was like boom, 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 and just when you thought it couldn't get better, here comes Frank's. That's Frank Saravalli's music, and then boom,
those chair shots.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I want to say though. I do want to ask you guys about this. Well, we were talking about that, listen, but I do have a question.
Light bulbs.
I have a question about this.
That's where we started.
I have a question about this. Okay. Is it, if you're having an argument with somebody in your DMs, is it a cheap shot move to post them?
Yeah. There are...
Like, Speck DM'd him out of blue. Tim Peel is within his rights to criticize Speck publicly or privately. Speck asked a question publicly that he's asked 1 billion times. McDavid acknowledged that.
Yeah.
And then Tim criticized the question and then went on to say, and I love this from people, nobody holds the media accountable. Which, yes, they do. All of the listeners that listen to the media. And Tim, by the way, you're in the media now. Just so you know, you have a podcast with Jeremy Roenick. You're media.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
So Speck was holding you accountable just as you were holding him accountable. But anyway... I wanted to know, I understand at a certain age, if you're like 15 and having an argument and then you post the DMs because you're being dramatic, I'll give you a pass on that. What age does that become? It's a bit of a cheap
because
shot.
You're being a petulant child.
Right.
Like if you're like well into adulthood, several decades into adulthood. No, it's weird. I don't like getting unsolicited DMs either, which I have gotten from grumpy individuals.
You got unsolicited emails too.
Unsolicited emails too, accusing me of not being a true pro.
Oh, imagine that.
I know. Can you imagine? But no, posting it, I think that's clownish.
Jesse,
behavior.
where do you stand on posting DMs? If somebody DMs you out of the blue, are you ever posting?
Yeah, no, that's corny. That's corny.
That's
behavior.
corny?
Yeah,
okay.
Don't do that.
Now, was Speck's question corny?
What was the question?
The question was, okay, so the Oilers lost, I think it was 8-6. And we're getting into the Oilers next, so this kind of dovetails perfectly. Oilers lose like 8-6 or whatever it was. Goofy score. Mm-hmm. And Speck's like, listen, wouldn't you prefer, if you're going to win or lose, wouldn't you prefer it be like 4-1? And McDavid says, and you hear him go, I've answered this question like a billion times. He's like, of course, we're trying to keep the puck out of our net. And I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. I don't have the exact wording, so if that's unfair to Mark Spector, I apologize in advance. I don't want to get any DMs either. But I just kind of feel like it was sort of like it sort of became a spat that took on a whole new thing, right?
Well, but people are talking about it like it's Adrian Dater asking Nathan McKinnon, you ever think, fuck it, like let's just win the Stanley Cup, which he did the next year hilariously. Yeah, no, that's an all-timer. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please look it up. But it was just not the greatest question, and he would probably admit that, and you move on. Or I guess he wouldn't admit that, and that's why he sent the DM.
In Spec and any other reporter's defense, like not every shift on the ice is going to be a good one. Not every question you ask is going to be dynamite.
No.
You're going to have bad questions.
And you think it's good. The worst is when you're halfway through it and you're like, this question sucks.
Have you done that?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah?
And you have to finish it.
Like what? Can you remember one specifically?
One of the worst ones I've ever done was, I think I've told the story before. I was asking Jennifer Botterill a question when I was working for Nike. And, oh, man.
This is what she was playing.
Yeah, and I wasn't as tapped into hockey as I am right now. I was 21. And
you were a fan. You're still a fan, but you were
I'm still a student.
A fan, but you weren't a graduate.
No, I was still in school.
Yeah.
And Nike was like, do you want to go to the Olympics? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll pay you this pittance that is actually the biggest money you've ever seen in your entire life. So you don't know that it's a pittance. And I said, yeah, sure. Let's go. And no, I asked her a question that was made me seem overpaid. It was. I think she went to Harvard, if I'm not mistaken. And
God.
And I was like, basically, I asked a question. It was like, the school. It wasn't that the school is bad at hockey or not known for hockey, but I was like, well, it's more famous for other things,
right?
Which is true and completely irrelevant to the conversation. Yeah, it's fucking awful.
You know your school? Fuck your school.
No, and I saw her face change in the middle of me asking the question, and I'm like, you're fucking up. This is brutal. This is brutal. But you can't just bail on the question. Oh my God. And she played along with it and saw this goofy little child in her presence and was like, I'll throw him.
She seems like a class act.
Yeah. And she was just like, what are you, chirping my hockey program? And I was like, no, that wasn't what I meant.
I was
humiliated.
So do you remember the YouTubers? Well, they're still famous. Dude Perfect.
Oh yeah. You talked to them?
Yeah. For when we were at Kiss 92.5.
Oh, the YouTube
for YouTube
countdown.
Hits. One time they sent me down to ask Dude Perfect questions, and I shouldn't be in a position to ask anybody questions because I'm not good at that. And at the time for sure. And I asked because they have this panda mascot that they'd use at that time. This is like 2013, and they'd have the panda mascot that they do their trick shots with, their trick shot YouTube channel. And I asked them, because the song was big at the time, if they had any broads in Atlanta, because the designer song Panda.
Yo, that's funny. Dude, that's funny. That's a good question.
And I think about that moment in the shower sometimes, and I just cringe.
Did they not get it?
No, they actually gave me I forget how it actually played out, but they gave me like a kind of answer. Like, no.
Okay.
Like, no, that's.
I like that. I like where you were going with that.
Oh,
I like that.
Jesse's tearing
I
up
think
right
that's
now.
so cringe. Like, I don't know. I don't think it landed as I thought in my brain how that would land.
This is important.
Yeah.
So
I've interviewed a designer, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, and his mom.
Did he say, hey?
Lovely people.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I know he had some charges laid against him recently over some.
I don't think he's doing well.
Not doing well. But at the time when that song was out, he was just on cloud 9, and he brought his mom to the Grammys. It was very cool, very very nice.
Well, damn.
Yeah. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
No, it's Dude Perfect. No broads in Atlanta.
Okay, so there was an interview I did that was so bad I've erased it from my memory. I don't remember anything that was asked or anything. Aaron Sanchez.
From the Blue Jays.
Did we do that? We did that for MLB
together,
The Show.
And I don't recall a second of it, and we never released it.
Why did you guys
I hope you've burned it. I don't know
when did you guys do an interview for MLB The Show?
It was so Josh Donaldson was on the cover the previous year, and I got to talk to him, and I got some really good questions and answers.
Was this at Sportsnet?
This was at Real Sports.
Yeah,
I asked for Sportsnet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the next year, Aaron Sanchez did it for the special edition, like Toronto edition. And it was just so shit we never released it.
I asked him questions as well, and now that you brought that up, I remember I asked him something else like really cringe.
Oh no!
I asked him, the Key and Peele sketch, AA
Yeah,
Ron.
yeah, yeah.
He spells his name like that. I was like, did anybody ever call you AA Ron?
That's a
What
good
did he
question.
say?
That's a good question.
I think it was another instance of like,
You're way too hard on yourself.
I don't know. I think
You're way
back
too
on all
hard
these
on
questions.
yourself.
Like, why did I do that? Why did I ever say
You were
anything?
trying to cross over pop culture with a
Yeah.
question to get a moment. What you're trying to do in entertainment interviews is get a moment. You're trying to get a moment.
Thank you for being supportive.
I like it. Listen, none of you have done what I have done. None of you. This wasn't even an interview. This is a private event.
Oh no!
And it was at Ty Domi's book launch.
Oh, this is
we
an
know this.
oldie but a goodie.
And
you know
if
what?
you're an
A
OG
lot of
podcast
people,
listener, you
Yeah.
would know this, but if you're not, a lot of people are not.
I tell the story and I'll tell you what happened in Sweden.
Okay, so I don't think anybody can do worse than I did. And if you're a newer member of the show, like if you picked us up, a lot of people picked us up over the pandemic. You've never heard this story, but
Oldie but a goodie.
I remember walking into the studio with Jesse and Steve and knowing I had to tell this story and knowing that I would be dead afterwards. Like I would be a punching bag for years. In fact, I don't think I've ever recovered. So I'm at Ty Domi's book launch in Toronto. There's Toronto book launch. There's a New York book launch. I'm at the Toronto one, and it's one of these like Soho House type members only clubs that's got like post and beam, and it's an old factory. And
Where I hang out all the time.
yeah, like I remember that. I'll tell you who was there. John Shannon was there, who's the executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada for like 20 years. And then he was actually on the air at Sportsnet at that point. That's when he used to go on Tim and Sid, and they'd make fun of him for being old, which was always the best.
Guest of Agent Provocateur.
Yes, that's right. This year he was great.
Yeah. Great stories.
Great stories.
Great
And
stories
then-
with Pierre Elliott Trudeau coming through Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah,
That
dude.
was a great one.
Yeah.
What a story.
Oh.
Oh my God. And then Cujo was there. I remember having a great conversation with Cujo. He gave me his number. He's like, yeah, I'll come on your podcast. And I remember texting him later and I never heard back. And I was like, So I'm feeling pretty good about myself, right? Like you're talking to hockey players. You're talking to guys that you grew up loving. Like I loved Cujo. Better than Potvin for sure.
Fuck you.
And I was talking to John Shannon and I'm like 26 and feeling myself. And then Ty comes over and he is introducing people to people. Ty, if you've never met him, is the type of guy who he brings people together.
He's a connector.
He's a connector for
He's also
sure.
very terrifying.
Ty?
Yeah.
He's extremely friendly. Extremely friendly.
You know that.
But I could see why on the ice he'd be intimidating.
You know the Denzel Washington pause, like where he just stares at you with a blank face and then smiles. He does that.
Does he do that?
He does
I've
that.
never noticed that.
He did that when I met him, and I was just like,
No, yeah, no.
What was that for, man? I was just saying hi.
It's funny that at his own book launch, he's the guy introducing people. That's just the way
Yeah.
he is, very social. So his best friend is Mario Lemieux. And I was trying to figure out at the time, I remember thinking, like, did they ever play together? But I guess they just were friends. So Mario was there, and Ty comes over to my mom and I, and he says, guys, I want you to meet Mario Lemieux. And my mom, rightfully, says, hi, Mario, I'm Marilyn, and this is my son, Adam. And
Oh no.
you see with Steve's reaction right now? There's a reason. It sucks. I, trying to be slick Rick over here, was like, say hi to Phil. As in...
Yeah, but that's not how you said it. That's not how you said it.
No, it's not. As in, say hi to Phil Kessel. Because Phil Kessel, you see, that year had been traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Penguins, I believe, had fired their coach and were on an absolute tear and were about to win the Stanley Cup. And I got nervous midway through say hi. So it's slurred. So it was like, say hi to Phil. And
Where does that come from?
I know. You're right. You're right. And any criticism you have of me in this story, you're correct. You're right. I remember I was thinking like midway through, I'm like, I didn't, because I have sweaty palms too.
My tongue has abandoned me.
So yeah, your tongue goes dry. My palms are sweaty naturally anyway. So normally I try to do like a quick wipe before I shake someone's hand. And then so my sweaty hand disappears into Mario's gigantic man hands. And I say that, and he kind of just looks at me and goes, okay. So whatever interactions you've had, like I'll give Mario credit. The guy's a class act. Freaking that's not the way that we've had every interaction with every NHL superstar, but I deserved worse, and he didn't give it to me. So that was a really bad, really monstrously bad moment.
Now, I know a lot of people are hearing that story for the first time.
Yeah.
But when I was in Stockholm, I met a bunch of people. Some guy comes up to me, he goes, "Say hi to Adam."
Ah!
No way.
Yeah.
That is, wow. That's throwing it back.
Yeah, that's a long time listener.
Damn.
That's 2016, I think.
You know those moments when you're at a party and you do something that's so embarrassing that you don't remember what happened the rest of the night? Mm-hmm. I don't even know how I got home. I wasn't drinking. I don't know what happened.
You sober, blacked out?
And I was just like, I'm gonna die. And I knew we had the show the next day. I'm like, I'm toast. Those guys are gonna kill me. Hey guys. So MasterCard hooked us up with some behind-the-scenes access to the Toronto Maple Leafs game in the members-only lounge at Scotiabank Arena. The MasterCard lounge is upgraded for the game day experience with the great seats and the all-inclusive food. Steve, what was your favorite item on the food menu?
Oh, all of it.
All of it.
All of it.
You ate it so fast you can't even remember one specific one?
They have things where I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to enjoy that. It just sounds fancy. The duck.
Oh,
what?
Delish.
The duck.
Yeah. Now, outside of the new MasterCard Lounge, this season MasterCard is celebrating devoted Toronto Maple Leafs fans by enhancing their in-game experience when they use their MasterCard. So that includes exclusive rewards, discounts on food and merch, access to exclusive game day parties. You can access all these benefits through the Toronto Maple Leafs app.
I'm a proud owner of a MasterCard.
You are a MasterCard card holder.
Do I get access to this stuff?
Through the Toronto Maple Leafs app, yes, you do. You got to show your devotion, okay? So, use the hashtag #TOTheDevoted, okay? MasterCard wants to know how you're showing your devotion this season. So show us in the comments on our most recent post on the SDPN channel using the hashtag #TOTheDevoted. Show us your devotion. How devoted are you, Steve? Are you the kind of person that would start a YouTube channel in your childhood bedroom for 17 years, follow the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though they didn't make the playoffs for the first 10?
No, what am I, out of my mind?
Jesse, what about you? Show your devotion
I would
now.
show my devotion by going to the SDPN Instagram and commenting there, like Jesse. You told me to.
There he goes. All right. So check it out. MasterCard card holders, you could be rewarded. So one of the things that we've talked about a little bit is, the Leafs love to fall behind early and then come back. And Jesse, that means you bet what?
I love to bet the Leafs to come back. And I'm not a brave bettor, so I don't bet them to come back and win. So I don't bet the money line of just Leafs winning when they're down. I bet them +1.5 or +2.5 goals.
Now, producer Drew is in the room. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you agree with Jesse's strategy, or would you go further and bet for the win?
Yeah, I'm not as cowardly.
He's not as cowardly.
He said he's not as cowardly.
Drew
I bet like a coward. Well, I will admit it. I am not afraid to say that.
Now, BetMGM
coward, though.
BetMGM gives you the chance to take those highlight reel NHL plays to a whole new level. They got something for every hockey fan, so you can get off the bench, get onto the ice. They're also an official partner of the official sports betting partner of the NHL in Canada, and also the king of sportsbooks. Ooh. Okay, so here's what you need to do.
That's their official title?
That is. Yeah.
Wow.
Go to betmgm.com/dangle. Trust me, you want to. betmgm.com, also for the terms and conditions. Must be 19 years of age or older to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to the operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. Hey, by the way, Jesse, we have a Black Friday sale, and unlike most of the Black Friday sales you see, this one is real.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because we don't really discount anything on the store. It kind of just lives there. You can go buy your merch and everything. sdpnshop.ca is where you can get your SDPN merch from all of the shows we have on the network. We got merch up there. You get some CJ show stuff. You can get some SDP stuff, obviously, and you get some new merch.
Ooh,
Steve.
Yes.
How many games are there in a season?
There's 82 games.
You can go there.
That's so many games.
And you can find a shirt that says, "There's 82 games."
Wow.
Yes.
And it is available. And if you use the code
Dangle
Blake Friday.
Aye!
Get it?
Whoa!
Use the code BLAKEFRIDAY. You'll get 20% off of your purchase.
Before we get into the Oilers here, Jesse, I just love that that you tried to trade Connor McDavid to all 31 NHL teams that don't currently possess him on the latest Jesse Blake Sports Report, and tried. And it's
How long did that take?
It took an hour and 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long
hour
one.
16.
Yeah,
it's a good one though. It's a good episode.
I did it live. We did it live on Twitch in NHL 24. Yeah, and the some of the more egregious ones were the game says, and I don't think anybody in real life would do it. So a lot of it was like, hey, this is what the game says can get done. We go to the chat like, would you do this? Who would say no? Blah blah blah. One of the ones for Boston was Charlie McAvoy for Connor McDavid 1-for-1. The game accepted it. It said it was value. And I was like, no.
Did you have any where it was like, call me back when you're serious?
Yeah, there was a lot of those. So a couple teams, they do not have enough assets to trade for Connor McDavid. The Flyers couldn't do it. The Coyotes, I believe, couldn't do it. And Columbus is up there as well.
Did you try to put Kerfoot in that trade? Or
No.
It's real good.
Another very interesting one was Tampa, because they have so many different assets that we could build something that looked semi-realistic, and that was fun. So we threw like Vasi, expiring Stamkos, and Sergachev, and that worked for Connor McDavid plus Campbell's contract going back, and like that stuff was super interesting. And then there was a 1-for-1 Adam Fox for McDavid. You just swap those two, and it's like, all right, let's think about it. And then the Leafs one, you gotta go watch the video. That's the best one.
I have heard a rumor in real life, I cannot say the teams or GMs involved, where a GM just said, hey, what about this trade? And the other one just went, fuck you, and hung up the phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm sure that happens all the time.
I don't think
that's a new I think that happened today.
It's
already happened.
That should be a patch in NHL 24 where you make them an offer and it goes, fuck you. Just hangs up.
Search up the Jesse Blake Sports Report on YouTube or your favorite podcast app if you want to listen or watch that.
Is there a team? Don't tell me the trade. Is there a team that you're going, this is the most likely?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
Do you know the team?
I think it might be the Leafs.
No.
Actually?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. No, because like because there's so many pieces in Toronto. The main thing is if you get a big superstar, then you can build a package around it. Some of the teams just didn't have the superstar, so you're just throwing in everything, and then it doesn't work. But if you have a big superstar with a decent contract, then you just add that piece, and then you get close to McDavid's value, and then you just add kind of the other prospects and pieces around it. So that's where you get like realistic McDavid trades.
That's the thing with the Leafs is like, as much as they've been criticized for being I want to say cash flow poor, but they're not cash flow poor. They're cap space poor. Mm-hmm. They are asset rich. Yep. They do have assets.
Yep.
So that's fascinating. Oh, I can't wait. Spicy. Okay, so the Edmonton Oilers. By the second period, the end of the second period the other night, the actual day, the day this week we actually got games. It was 4-0 Carolina. The game ended 6-3. It is American Thanksgiving today, and the Edmonton Oilers are 10 points out of a wild card spot.
Man.
Now, Friedge said in his 32 Thoughts column that I read this morning, he said at the start of the season, these were the teams that I said had a chance to win the Cup. And he said Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, Edmonton, New Jersey, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Vegas. And he said 45 days into the season, 4 teams remain. Carolina, Colorado, Dallas, and Vegas. And he goes into explaining it all. But what's interesting out of Edmonton right now is fans are demanding a trade, and management simply can't or won't.
I don't think it's that they won't, to be honest. Like, I don't think they're lazy. I think their judgment's poor. Listen.
Do you want this management group making a trade?
Not really, but listen, they're capable of it. The Ekholm deal is a good trade.
Yeah, good trade.
It's a good trade. They've made some good signings. They're capable of it. Even like Fogle, like that trade was okay-ish. It was fine-ish in retrospect-ish. And I think the main reason it's worked out is Ethan Bear hasn't played very much.
Yeah.
That's probably the main reason it's probably worked out in their favor. Listen. This isn't me trying to insult Edmonton. This applies to the Leafs as well. A lot of people just don't want to go there. They just don't want to go there. If they have any kind of trade protection, like if you're looking for difference makers, like it's funny. I was talking about the Blue Jackets on Twitter yesterday, and they have an abundance of D-men they were trying to get rid of a month ago, and the Oilers need D-men. Why don't they make the phone call to Columbus? And people are like, really? You expect Jake Bean and Andrew Peeke to change around the Oilers season? Well, I haven't looked it up, but I don't think those guys have trade protection. Mm-hmm. So if you want a star, almost all of those guys have trade protection, and almost all of them say, keep me the hell out of Canada.
Yeah, I thought it was very curious on the CJ show when Jake Allen's name was brought up, and Jake Allen, who has trade protection, I think it's only a 7-team list. CJ kind of poo-pooed the idea of him going to Edmonton, and he doesn't know the no-trade list, but he's pretty sure that
we all assume
if anybody's going to be on there, it's going to be a collection of the Canadian teams. And I think Jake Allen probably be out for going to Edmonton because he has those 7 teams to cross off the list.
How many Canadian teams are there?
7.
There you go. So
and he's in one.
And he's in one,
So.
which means
Buffalo.
That he's from. It's probably Buffalo.
If it's 8 teams, it's usually all Canadian teams in Buffalo.
Which sucks.
I know,
man.
which sucks for Buffalo too. Sorry, guys.
Like,
you're in it with us.
Like, I know this. It's funny because the salary cap tries to create parity and tries to make the league as even as possible. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, you can't, unless they're drafted by that team, you can't make players want to go to places they don't want to go.
And here's the problem I was thinking about with Edmonton, because before you could make the argument, well, you get to sign a short-term deal, but you get to play with Connor McDavid.
How don't they just have an ocean of 1- and 2-year deals?
Well, so they never took advantage of that, or they were never able to capitalize on that. But here's the problem. Here's the problem now. The problem now is Leon Draisaitl is up for an extension starting July 1st. We've heard nothing about his preference to stay, but we've also heard nothing about his preference to go. Mm-hmm. I think that the silence on that, if I'm a player and they want to bring me in and I've got anything more than 2 years, my question to them is, are those guys going to be here? Because, I mean, really, honestly, the Oilers finish. Let's say the season finishes and the Oilers are a bottom 5 team, which means they're a lottery team, and that
might be okay
right now. That might be possible. If you're trying to attract somebody over the next 12 months, and I'm not just talking about right now, I'm talking 12 months. What do you think the chances are that Leon Draisaitl is going to stay? And if Leon goes, what are the chances that Connor stays? Because Leon, here's the thing with Leon Draisaitl that's going to be interesting come next season. If that extension isn't signed by September, people are going to start to talk about the fact that, well, do you just play out the season with him? Or do you go out and try to find a deal and get assets back? And at a certain point, you're like, but Leon Draisaitl is irreplaceable. Well, we cannot replace this player. We specifically cannot replace the playoff production if we can get there. So we got to play out the year with him, and then he could walk.
This is why I think they have to go balls to the walls to make this work now. They're in a very unique position in this league. And when you rebuild, what do you hope for?
Well, you want to win a cup, don't you?
Well, yeah, but specifically, you hope to win the lottery once.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Hit on a couple top 10 picks.
It's amazing how many Detroit fans I met in Sweden that were talking about the lottery, and they're like, fuck you. Because they tanked for so long and never got the lottery balls never fell in their favor. They were always picking 4th. And then you pick 3rd one year. You actually go off the board to pick 3rd, and you get Leon Draisaitl. What's the illusion, right? You make the trade and you expect your next rebuild to go better than that?
I don't think. No.
Right.
No.
They're currently, yes, their hands are tied in that players don't want to go there, and it's difficult to help that. I'm sure everyone who goes through Edmonton is like, God, I just wish I managed in Florida. 'Cause the Panthers get everybody. Everyone wants to go there, right?
That didn't used to be the case. They've also built a better organization.
Yes, 100%. 100%. And I'm sure that has, people are more willing to go to Buffalo now than they used to be, right?
People love going to Vegas.
People love going to Vegas, right? I just can't imagine a situation where the Oilers get luckier than they did.
It could even be a boat. Like, do you want the mystery box? Do you want the mystery box, or do you want Connor McDavid? Your mystery box could be a Connor McDavid, a generational player.
Like,
it's like you're not going to go take the boat.
You're just constantly playing whack-a-mole. You need to hit on your picks. You have to, because those are the players that you can keep for the better part of a decade, right? You have to hit on those players, and then the players that you are able to convince to join your team, you have to hit on those players, and you got to convince them to stay. It's really difficult, and I know every team has to do that. The Oilers have to do it in a more delicate way, and it's just harder for them.
But the hardest step was the first one, hitting on draft picks and getting really lucky tanking. And they did that so well.
Yes.
So that's why it's such a crime the way the organization has been run since, because your next job is just getting the pieces around the guys that you drafted, and they've been unable to do that.
Like, do you know how much easier the rebuild is going to be in Chicago? Like, they got Bedard.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. But like, players want to go to Chicago. It's going to be so much easier. They got the lucky part, which is winning the lottery, but also, like, they had to overpay some guys this summer, but they were able to recruit guys no problem.
Mm-hmm. You know how long Buffalo tried to get that pick of McDavid and all the other picks, and they had to do it kind of in a roundabout way, where they hit on other guys like Tage
and the Eichel
and Benson and Levi.
Well, and like Tage is a late bloomer. Levi, you got as a throw-in in a trade for Sam Reinhart, one of the guys you weren't able to keep because you bridged him during a rebuild. You weirdos. I don't understand what that organization was so bad for so long. But also the Eichel deal, you come out of it with a roster player who wants to be in Buffalo with Alex Tuck. Mm-hmm. Like, how many players, like, where's their story where, like, I've always wanted to be an Oiler, and that player's in their top 6? You know what I mean? I'm not insulting the team. We all look at the Oilers and go, why is this so hard? This shouldn't be so hard.
Well, their choice, like, to build around McDavid and Draisaitl was Bouchard and Nurse and Hyman and Campbell. Like, these are the bigger deals that they've made in this tenure, and none of them have been that successful.
Well, you got to hit. So Nurse, I think they hit.
I think they hit the extension on Nurse a little too hard. I think the loss of Oscar Klefbom, which is never brought up. Oscar Klefbom was a very good defenseman.
Yes.
And he's strong on the power play. I don't think they have to make some of the moves they made if Oscar Klefbom is still there. I also know that they would have paid him a fortune. Yeah. And
really, their only major whiff out of the guys you just mentioned was Campbell.
I think the Nurse extension is pretty tough on their cap.
It's awful, but like, I at least understand it because I'm like, well, he's injured, right?
Okay.
So did you hit it too early? Yes. It's too much. Is it Drew? Is he making more than Makar? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's 9.2.
I think he's 9.25 and Makar is 9.
9, yeah.
Dude, why did
Makar
sign
I think
that deal?
in that instance, it's a whiff. Right? Yes. Handing out that extension. Like, that's where, I don't know, Adam, I think you agree, is that the whiff is the extension there. And the Evander Kane thing, we all thought that was such a success when they got him at the price they did. And it was great last season, and it hasn't been good this season.
Nope. Yeah. And I think the hard part is going to be, again, when it comes to attracting the players, right? Because part of it is convincing some of these guys to waive their no trade, come play with Connor, come play with Leon for the next 2 years. You got it. You have to get it done now. Those first round picks are as good as gone. Tell the scouting department to start scouting the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, because that's when you're going to be drafting. But I also think, like, if they don't capitalize now, while you guys were talking, I pulled up HockeyDB, and I went through the last 20 years of 3rd overall picks. Okay?
3rd overall
now,
picks.
Leon Draisaitl is a 3rd overall pick.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And obviously you hit on, like, there's a couple of years where you get 2 generational talents, and I say that with a question mark because I'm not sure that Jack Eichel's a generational talent. I think he's a very good centerman.
Like Ovi Malkin?
Yeah, and Ovi Malkin, right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, like, we'll bring it back to 2003 because it's 20 years ago. Third-round pick, Nathan Horton. Good player.
Third overall.
Third overall pick, excuse me. Third overall pick. Good player. Back injury, but he was very good in Boston. Very effective player. Cam Barker in Chicago. Just didn't work out. Okay?
He was fine for a time.
Jack Johnson in Carolina the next year.
He's played a lot of games.
But is he Leon Draisaitl?
Hell no.
This is the best comparable, I think, is Jonathan Tays in Chicago.
A Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
Like zero
First ballot.
Right. Kyle Turris the next year.
Ooh. Had
Had
some
a lot of good years.
Good years.
Yeah.
Good, solid years. Zach Bogosian. The NHL
I keep
changed.
forgetting he went the pick before Alex Pietrangelo.
Right, and Zach Bogosian, the NHL changed for players like that. They drafted him for 5 years previously.
Him and Shen went 3rd and 5th in the same draft. And the league changed around him. Right?
The next year, same thing. Erica Branson. That's 2010.
There's another guy who's had a fine career, but 3rd overall. Holy cow.
Jonathan Huberdeau has had some great years. I know he struggled a bit in Calgary.
Yeah.
But been very, very good. Alex Galchenyuk the next year.
That's really tough.
Jonathan Drouin the year after.
Also tough.
Then you have Leon in 2014. Then in 2015, it's Dylan Strome ahead of Mitch Marner.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Then the next year, it's Pierre-Luc Dubois right after Matthews and Laine.
Off the board.
Okay. Because they thought it was going to be Jesse Puljujarvi, right? Or was it Oli Levy?
No, it was Puljujarvi.
Okay, yeah. So that was that one. And then 17, Mira Heiskanen.
Incredible pick, but what's
Incredible
hilarious is you could argue it was the wrong one.
Why?
Okay, well, he's one of the most underrated players in the league. The very next pick was Kel McCarr.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
The next year, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Good player.
Yeah, a little high.
Definitely a little high. Montreal likes grabbing a third-round center super high. Kirby Dach the next year.
Yeah. Oh, I just feel bad for him.
And then Timmy Stutz, who is a spectacular
incredible
hockey
player.
So I'm just stopping in 2020.
If there's a German available at 3rd, pick him.
Yeah. But my point in all this is out of those 15, 20 years I just gave you, there are maybe 3 guys. Leon is one of those guys that have a shot at the Hall of Fame.
You couldn't hope for better fortune.
Yep. If there's a generational talent, it's going to be 1st overall, or it's going to be a nugget that you just lucked out with.
100%.
Yeah.
And so what what the Oilers need to remember here is, you got Connor McDavid 1st overall, and you'll get good players if you draft intelligently, which their drafting's been okay. It's been okay. I don't think you're going to hit on a player, and the Oilers would know this better than anybody, like Leon Draisaitl, who surprises you like that ever again. And the Oilers know this because they had the 1st overall pick for like 5.5 years.
Now let me do a hard...
And they were able to get 0 generational talent out of every 1st overall pick.
Let me do a hard right turn. We're overthinking this. They secondarily, here's their second priority.
Okay.
Get defensemen whose knees generally bend.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like Evan Bouchard.
Is he injured?
I don't know. Bend over. Bend. Hinge at the hips.
But you can't. Here's the thing: if he is injured, they can't scratch him.
I've never seen a player with Cody Ceci. Even when he's playing well, does not play beautiful hockey. Mm-hmm. And Bouchard plays uglier hockey than Ceci. And he's a great generator.
He's great on the offensive end.
He doesn't fucking bend.
No.
He does. So
there's something about the puck going the other way on the ice where just when it passes through the neutral zone and into the other end, he loses it and he just doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't
and
bend.
It happens so often.
Yes. Now, that's the second priority. Top priority, I think we've all said some beautiful flowery language when it comes to the Oilers and what they should do, and let's all hold hands and kumbaya. 865 save percentage on Stuart Skinner. That's ECHL goaltending. Call up any American leaguer, they give you probably above 865. That is, Drew's nodding his head. Maybe not any. What is the answer? 1/3 of them? Half of them?
What does your goaltender do when there's no defense in front of them?
I know. It's so what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to believe the defense is I think it's both, right? Like 865, usually when a goalie is having the worst season of their entire friggin' life, they have something like an 888. Like 885. 865 is unfathomable.
Yeah.
He was an all-star last year, though.
Yes.
But he fell off really hard before the end of the year. So is this a combination where you have a bottom 10 D-core in the league, maybe bottom 5, and you're also getting bottom 5 goaltending?
Bottom 1.
Bottom 1.
Yeah, I think
Mackenzie
it's
Blackwood is goaltending the shit out of the San Jose Sharks.
Who's
right
worse?
now. Nobody's worse.
Who's worse in the NHL?
Nobody.
865.
The one hope the Oilers...
You don't have a chance.
The one hope the Oilers do have, and I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how it went, but Jack Campbell did get a shutout in his last game.
Oh, he might be their best option. He was their best option when he was sent down. People forget that. He had a higher save percentage than Skinner.
But he's got the bigger contract hit, and they need him to work out more than they need Skinner to work out.
No, the thought process behind they didn't do what we thought they would do at all. We thought, okay, they're worried about losing Skinner. They're going to call Pickard up. Maybe Skinner and Pickard can split games, and Campbell plays a bunch in Bakersfield and see if he recovers. Yeah. Well, Campbell had a nightmare time in Bakersfield, but then Pickard played his first start like within the last week, and I think he's had a couple. Like, did you call him up to be the guy who just fills in the second period when your starter, who you know is not good enough, is getting killed?
Yeah, he's only started that one game. Pickard.
What the fuck?
And by the way, the save percentage thing, I looked up the stats for save percentage on the season. Edmonton is dead last. Their team save percentage is .870.
The Sharks gave up 10 goals in back-to-back games.
The Sharks aren't even like close to last. They're fifth last.
Yeah, because Blackwood has been standing on his skull and brain.
It's been okay. And then above them are the Wild, the Hurricanes, and the Devils, which are very indicative of how those 3 seasons have gone, is where the Devils can't get a save, and like they're weirdly struggling. Like I think they're still sitting outside of a playoff spot.
I think they are,
and they shouldn't be.
Well, Jack Hughes being injured hurt, and they still don't have Heischer either.
Right.
So it's like, imagine the Oilers, we were able to look at it and go, well, they don't have McDavid and Leon.
And for a little bit,
time.
they didn't have McDavid. And we were like, oh, McDavid's injured and they don't have him. Like, they're just going to get it back. And then the outdoor game happened, and then they won 3 in a row, but then they never got it back.
Currently, by the way, the Devils sit third last in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the Hurricanes, they struggled with goaltending very early on. And it's still their save percentage .885 on the year. But,
and they're still 7th place.
Yeah, nobody's worse than the Oilers.
7th place with an
in the conference.
85.
Conference 7th place.
Oh, conference.
But still, that's mid-pack of the league.
85.
Yeah.
That, like, okay, save percentages have gone down, shooting percentages have gone up. 865 is don't bother with warm-up.
Do you want me to blow
Everyone in the building is wasting their time. In 865, why are any of us here? Why did any of us arrive at the building today?
Yeah, but what do you do about it?
The other team won. Take your 2 points. Let's go.
What do you do about it, though? You're the Oilers. This is the question.
Get
what do you do about
it? Goalie.
There are, but like you you don't just go out to the grocery store and pick up a goalie.
No, you need to get someone. And this is
name the guy.
So here's what I would do right away if I was the Oilers GM. So you're speaking to the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, stop that right now. Put down your phone. Stop it. Ken Hughes is going to fucking kill you.
Yep.
He's going to take your lunch money. Put down your phone.
He's going to put you over your knee and slap you on the bottom.
He's going to pat your bottom, and he's going to say, wait till Santa hears about this. And you're going to get a lump of coal in your stocking and no fucking goalie. Call up someone else. Call up Steve Yzerman, who is like the Mad Hatter without the charisma.
You want one of Alex Lyon, James Reimer, and Billy Husso. But I assume... I don't know. Like, are they moving those?
I don't know. Well, because they don't have Husso right now. But, I mean, based on performances, like, Reimer's pretty clearly number 3 there. So, if he becomes available...
Lyon's played, what, 1 game?
He's played really well.
He's played 1 game, because he played the one over in Sweden.
He played 1 in Sweden, and he's played 1 here, I think. Or starts.
Yes.
Is
the Sweden game was his first start.
I think you're right.
So they haven't played a game since?
Yeah, they have.
They've come back and they played a game, Detroit?
I thought I saw it on the highlights the other day.
I don't think any of the Sweden teams have played yet.
Well, because Ottawa and Detroit went back earlier than the Leafs and Wild did.
So they must have played Tuesday then. And Lion got that
I'm
start.
pretty sure Detroit's played, and I'm pretty sure Lion won.
Okay.
You might have even got a shutout.
Okay.
I think it's
What were we talking about?
we're talking about what do the Oilers do here, and
anyone,
I mean,
anyone.
well, yeah. Here's the problem: is that here's what I think about the Oilers situation. The more I think about it, if things don't change, the window to win cups was when Holland took over. That's when I think they had the opportunity to do it.
16 for 16 on Wednesday against the Devils.
Oh,
Alex Lyon.
The Devils had 16 shots.
Yep. 16 shots, 16 saves. Alex Lyon, 4-0 win for the Red Wings.
by the way, what did Devils
so
fans
hard.
get on you for, Jesse? The Lafreniere being good, I think.
Yeah, I tweeted that I liked Lafreniere. I thought he was playing well this year, which he has been. And then they're just cheering against it because that's their rival, right?
Right.
So it was harmless.
Okay. Do the Rangers view the Devils as their rival?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because it would be like the Devils
Well, who else would it be?
and the Islanders. I would have thought. Philly.
Philly?
Philly.
No,
more?
it's Devils Rangers.
Yeah?
Because they played last year in the playoffs, and that was intense.
Oh, that was
and
good,
the
yeah.
comeback and all that, and then it started again this year, and then the Rangers have I think they've won both games, or just the one game they've played, but yeah, they have a good rivalry going.
The Metro is really good for rivalries. They all hate each other equally. and there's Columbus.
Hey, what do you guys think of the quick question? What do you think of the Washington Capitals?
Real
my
good.
God, they're one of the hottest teams in the league.
Real good.
They're ahead of the Leafs.
Real
What the
good.
fuck?
I know.
They've been on fuego
I
the
know.
last 3 weeks.
Unbelievable.
I think they go 8-0-1 that little stretch there.
Yeah, well, and they started really bad.
Yeah.
And then if you didn't pay attention, you're like, oh, man, these guys stink. And then I was watching this video on my phone in Sweden, and Charlie Lindgren was celebrating. He got his first shutout as a Cap. And it's like, oh, yeah, they're 8-3 and whatever over their last. I'm like, when did that happen?
Yeah, and they're doing this without Ovi being on fire.
Yeah. Which I think is still coming.
Oh, yeah.
You see how well Crosby's doing? Like, this is a scorer's league now. It's coming. It's coming. Like, it might not be the 50-goal Ovi we're used to. He's going to hit at least 30.
Did you guys see the quote? Ovi said that he and Sid saved the NHL after the 05 lockout.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about
Where's the lie?
There's zero lie.
I think if you were going to come back at it, here's where I think he's wrong.
Nowhere?
I think that rivalry really took off it took off later in the decade. He's talking about the first 5 years after the lockout.
It took off
the
the
names that saved the NHL after 05-06 are all on one team, and they are Lindstrom, Zetterberg, Datsuk. Those are the guys that saved the NHL. Absolutely. If you look at the after the lockout,
Avs
the
fans
freaking
goes, boo.
I know you're booing me, but it's true. If you look at the lockout, first off, the Detroit Red Wings should have won more cups in that 5 years afterwards.
Yeah,
they absolutely should have. They choked in the playoffs a couple times.
They choked a bunch.
But they got the one cup. But there's one season from 2005 to 2010 where they didn't have 50 wins. Wins. Dude, I think that people forget just how good that team was. And I'm not taking anything away from Ovi and Sid here, but it took them a bit to warm up.
You're confusing good with interesting.
Yeah.
Like, they were...
You don't think Datsuk and Zetterberg were interesting?
For 20 years, the National Hockey League marketed two people, and it was Ovechkin and Crosby, up until Connor McDavid arrived in the National Hockey League. Those two were the only recognizable people from outside of Canada that anybody would say plays hockey. It was Ovi and Crosby, and that saved the league.
How was Zetterberg on Letterman?
Yeah, he was never on Letterman.
No, it was they were putting Crosby out there. They were putting Ovi
You ask a lot
there.
of people right now who don't watch hockey, the first name they give you is either Wayne Gretzky or Sidney Crosby, and then third is probably Ovechkin.
I hope it's Ovechkin. I hope it is now. I just feel like we look at it from our lens of now. I don't think we're looking at it the way we did then. The way we did then, as hockey people, maybe if we're talking about outside of hockey and growing the sport, yeah, okay, I can see that argument. But within hockey, Datsuk and Zetterberg were the top of every list
No,
all
but
the time.
the point that Ovi's making is that we saved hockey, which is marketing to the mass audience. You know, the hockey people will always be there. The hockey people we're gonna care about the Columbus Blue Jackets and that drama. The stuff, the casual fan, they know Crosby and Ovechkin, and that's what saved the game. And I think he's 100% right.
Red Wings fans, back me up on this one, please.
I don't
Red Wings
know.
fans,
I don't know if they need that.
Back me up.
I don't think they would say that they're the marketing of Datsuk and Lidstrom.
I did a deep dive.
Hockey.
I did a deep dive on those guys a little while ago, just on how good that team was. That's a team, and I don't want to put it at Jimmy Howard's feet, but you almost feel like if they'd had a different goalie than maybe Jimmy Howard, if they'd had maybe a little more depth, that team should have won 3 of 5 cups.
Well,
that should have been Chicago Blackhawks, LA Kings, Tampa Bay Lightning good.
They also had a few major whiffs. Like Thomas McCollum was supposed to be like a huge goalie for them, and
yeah.
But like when Crosby, like look how I just said it. That was Freudian. Crosby won his first cup
against
in 2009. Detroit. It was against Detroit.
That's what I was about to say.
But when Detroit won the previous year, Detroit won. No one was like, "Oh man,
oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Let's go, Pavel." Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
No, it was
all right.
No, because like you're saying, Detroit should have more cups. Who stopped them?
I just feel like
Sidney Crosby.
I feel like that was a wonky era because we were in a hangover of a terrible lockout.
Yes,
the salary cap sucked.
Yes, it's like $42 million.
Yeah, and like
or 45.
And some teams that like the Ducks winning was a real story. The Oilers beating the Wings to go to the Cup final was a real story. Like those were. I just feel like that Detroit team outside of Detroit doesn't get the love it deserves.
You're right.
And I think in American hockey terms, Detroit's one of the key markets. It is.
Yeah. Nobody is arguing anything you're saying. We're just saying Ovi's point is correct.
I think the team you're looking for, Adam, is Chicago.
What do you mean? Oh, in terms of...
I mean, just ask the NHL. The NHL treats them, or has treated them
and
the way
continues
that they
to
do,
treat them.
and continues to treat them because they took... Detroit was always a relevant hockey market. Chicago left relevancy
in
a long time ago.
60s, I think, even
for
before
a
that.
very long time, right? Then the Taves and Kane era brought it back, and then I don't. The pages are smudged. I can't. I'm not sure what happened after that, but that's the team you're thinking of.
Taylor Hall's going to be out for the entire year.
Man,
rough.
It makes the Corey Perry news or lack thereof that much more interesting because like. When Hall was hurt earlier this season, when we thought he was going to be week to week and then missed one game, I was like, dude, you got to get someone for this kid to play with. Mm-hmm. And now that situation's dire. Like, Hall was on the top line, and Corey Perry was apparently third on the Blackhawks in scoring. And now, like, I don't know, he could be back tomorrow. Could be back. You might never be a Blackhawk again. You might never play in the NHL again. I have no idea what's going on.
And it's hard to criticize because what we've seen lately is a lot of we've seen, a lot of situations where teams legally cannot commit to talking about something. But the absence of information here is what's driving this story. If Julian excuse me. Julian made a really good point. Julian McKenzie. He said, if you just said he was day to day for right now, it's a non-story. No one gives a shit. And that's honestly, does anybody care that Corey Perry missed practice? No. He's an older player, probably a maintenance day.
It wasn't.
Was that they're like, we can't talk about it. And then the players go out and they go.
He missed practice though. He was he was warming up for the game, and they pulled him from the game. They had to play Zaitsev instead of.
He's
Corey
day to day.
That's how that's how the news came out.
He's day to day.
Really, I didn't know that.
I thought it was. I thought it was practice.
No, it was pregame, and then they were short of forward.
Didn't they say organizational reasons?
Yeah, like they pulled him like just before the game, and they played Zaitsev instead. Like that's how it all went down. There was no reason for it. So like I don't know what to speculate on. We don't have answers.
No, we don't know anything.
We just gotta. It's just a wait and see.
Hey Steve, saw you looking at your phone there. Are you looking up ways to be healthy every day?
How did you know?
Jesse might have a recommendation. You don't need to look at your phone. Just look at Jesse.
AG1.
Oh.
AG1. Take it every day. I take it every morning.
Why?
Because
Why?
it is so good for me and my gut health. Like that's what I aim for, is you getting all your vitamins and nutrients, so you don't need to worry about getting it in other ways. Like you can just take your AG1 every day and you're like, that's out of the way. I woke up in there, it's done. And then also like your gut biomes, they feel better when you take AG1.
And the other thing, let the audience in on, you were actually 5'7" when you started doing the show.
Great.
That's not true.
Ah.
AG1 does
5'7".
not make you taller.
No?
No.
That's the only
Does it
thing
make you
doesn't-
greener?
In a way, yes.
Yes.
Because the drink is green. It is a little green powder, and I have the little AG1 container it comes in. Then you take a little scoop, and it's all measured there for you. And you put in your AG1 bottle, and you fill up your AG1 bottle at 8 to 12 ounces. You get right in the middle there. I like the 10 ounces. I like to aim it perfect every day when I'm getting the water from the sink, and then I drink it. I shake it, and then I drink it.
AG1
That's
supports
the
your
routine.
immune health. It's part of your morning ritual, as Jesse said. It's a foundational nutritional supplement. Maybe it'll help you stop getting sick like me.
It will.
I
It does.
sure hope so.
It does. Immune
Listen,
support is a part of it.
if you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. You got to try AG1. Try a free 1-year supply of Vitamin D3K2.
Whoa!
Okay.
That's so many letters and numbers.
And 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/STP. That is drinkag1.com/STP. Check it out. Guys, have you ever stopped to consider the places your butt has been? The magical, incredible places that your butt has been.
My butt was in 3 countries this past week.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you went to events and your butt was at all of them. All the great things that you've had happen in your life, your butt's been a part of it. And that's why we want to plant your butt in the best seats with SeatGeek.
Go ahead.
With over 28 million downloads, 70,000 events every single day.
Wow.
You just get on your phone and buy your tickets. It's easy.
That's all you do.
I
Yeah.
found Raptor tickets for more than 50% off the other day on SeatGeek. They were like 70%
That's
discounted
actually
off
amazing.
of like the actual ticket price.
I
It
can't
was
believe you got a
crazy.
discount on anything in Toronto. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
now you have a place to put your bum.
And listen, if you want to use our code, you can. SDP for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with the promo code what?
Dangle.
No.
SDP. SDP,
He
Steve.
just said it.
Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. It's SDP.
One that we don't have to speculate on, and I know fans are super upset about this, especially rival fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Oh, they're like, it looks like the Blackhawks spoke recently, and I wanted to find out what they said. I was trying to show Jesse stealthily, but it didn't work.
I don't think nothing has come up.
Drew's
Trust me, I've got
laughing
Twitter
at
open.
you.
Nothing has come up.
I was trying to be a good boy. Like, I always try to be stealth, and you're like, what? What is it, Steven?
Well,
Show it to the class.
Fix the light bulbs.
Yes.
all we know
God
is
damn it.
Corey won't play this afternoon in Toronto. Okay, and they won't say anything else.
Yeah, but I think that was what we had. No
Yeah.
information.
They're in Toronto?
Yeah, they're playing
Tonight, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock game.
What's wrong?
Against Toronto.
No,
it's in Chicago. but
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it's in Chicago.
Yeah.
You're hung up on where the game is. I'm
Yeah.
giving you the information of the Blackhawks link that you just tried to show Jesse stealthily.
Give me an A.
And-
Give me an H. Give me a...
No, it
Oh,
wouldn't,
wait, I fucked it up. A-D.
it wouldn't make sense for them to be in Toronto because they have all the games in the States
Yes.
this week for Thanksgiving,
And
right?
also,
Or
they've
today.
already played in Toronto.
And they've already played. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway,
Anyways.
there are fans that won't be very thrilled with this. The reason I can tell, by the way, that you're not paying attention, and the reason I have to call it out is because
What are we talking- what?
Because you stop responding to me. You're like, I'm trying to be stealth about it, and then you just disappear from the show.
What topic are you trying to start?
I was trying to go to John fucking Klingberg, but
okay.
Steve was like, "Did you see this link? Did you see?"
That's not what I was doing. I was
Did you
doing the
see?
opposite of
The
that.
Blackhawks spoke about it. They said the same thing they've been saying for 48 hours.
I didn't know what the
It's
fuck you
fucking
were saying.
crazy.
No, I see Steve's point because he wasn't doing that. He was trying to be stealth about it. He wasn't saying everybody stop the show. He was trying to show
stealth.
me.
You know, Steve, if you had the link, you could just share it to Jesse on Twitter.
Yeah, but then you'll be like, oh, you're on your phone, asshole. You know how hard it is to be stealth on camera and microphone?
extraordinarily. John Klingberg
Someone get him his haul.
is on LTIR, and he is ineligible to play until at least December the 12th. It's believed that it's a hip injury. It is a real injury. A lot of people are like, oh, it's not a real injury. It's cap circumvention. Listen, if you're mad about the Leafs being a rich team, you better get used to it, man. Like they are going to do anything that any team with money is going to do to try to get around their mistakes, and the Leafs have done it. Listen, if the Leafs wanted to circumvent the cap, what they would have done is put Nikita Zaitsev on LTIR. That's something they would have done.
It's also,
that would have been cap circumvention.
These things are also vetted by the NHL.
Yes.
So there is a due process that happens when a player goes on LTIR like this suddenly when they were playing, and then now there's an injury. They research this. They go in. They do their medical tests with independent doctors that aren't the team doctors, and they make sure that this is a legitimate injury so that teams do not take advantage of this. Because the NHL doesn't like when the Leafs cheat. Like, believe it or not, they're not on the Leafs side. They want to stop them if they're cheating. Gary and his guys don't want this happening.
It was a large portion of Sen's Twitter who made memes about Matt Murray being hurt all the time. And then when it's like, oh, Matt Murray's hurt, they're like, what? Like, no, it's...
There are checks and balances in place for when teams put guys on LTIR.
Also, if you think that the NHL wants the Leafs to win so bad, why are they so terrible at it?
The Leafs have been terrible for 100 years.
Yeah, no, the NHL
the NHL.
They've been trying for 50 years to make this team win.
The NHL rigging the league for the Leafs to win would actually explain a great deal about why they've been so bad.
Oh yeah, actually, because the NHL tends not to be great when they rig things.
Yes.
But yeah, John Klingberg.
Give him David Clarkson.
As we said in the last episode, it's going to be what this is. Listen, people were highly critical of his play. And he had a couple of good games and some real stinkers.
His last game was good.
It was, but it looks like this is this problem, and it was supposed to be a hip. Sheldon Keefe said the decision's with him, right? So we don't know what he's going to choose, but it looks like surgery's on the table. If he has surgery, he might be ready for the playoffs, maybe.
Like, it's obvious that it was obvious that this was always going to be something that needed to be maintained. Mm-hmm. Like, there are players where I've heard the criticism with them. Like, this is years ago, they were on the Leafs, and the criticism was, oh, they require a lot of body maintenance. And this player's still in the league, and they're not on the Leafs anymore, and they're doing great. So, just because you have injuries to maintain doesn't mean that you're bad. This is something Klingberg was trying to maintain, and you could see through his play that it was slipping through his fingers. Took a couple games off, comes back, looks good. And what took him out? Was it a big hit? Did he get speared? Did he get hit by a puck? No, he sat on a plane, and that wrecked everything. And like, I mean, if that's taking you out, if that's making it so you can't play, you gotta sit. You gotta, whether it's surgery or rest or what have you, it's obvious that regular maintenance, even taking a couple games off here and there, was not going to be good enough for him.
So yeah, it does. If he does sit out and he's not back till, say, the playoffs, or he just doesn't play again for the Leafs, it does open up some opportunities for them. I mean, I think that's undeniable, and I think people are right to ask the question, what do they do? And my thing is, how about nothing for now? They've looked pretty good with the lineup the way it is. And yeah, and it's unfortunately with Reeves and with Klingberg, they didn't play confidently with those guys in the lineup. It felt like they were having to stretch or to cover or to make the lineup look in a way that it didn't need to look. Mm-hmm. And I for one am a big proponent of, not that there's going to be any early trades, because there never is a November trade, like anything of consequence.
Sometimes
it's rare. It's really rare.
Like Duchesne trade.
Yeah, but if this, that was boiling for a while though. Yeah. Like, nothing just develops. Like, the Oilers would love to make a big trade right now. They can't.
It might, because they have the holiday freeze. Mm-hmm. Might be real busy before the holiday freeze.
We'll see.
Can you name the 5 players the Leafs have on LTIR right now? Steve Dangle.
Jake Muzzin.
1.
John Klingberg.
2.
Matt Murray.
3.
Timothy Liljegren.
4.
Connor Timmins hasn't technically been activated yet.
5. Well done.
Hey. And now
he might play tonight.
Now he can be.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is cool. I think it's a sad story for John. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But if that cap space becomes available, the deadline looks a lot different. And I would say
season.
Well, the whole season. But I think that the team, the way it's playing right now, wouldn't have a problem with it. Just keep it for now. See what you have.
Yeah, no, you do need to see what you have. And, I mean, you got some defensemen playing pretty well, and acquiring 2 defensemen would push them out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Right? So, there's still that internal competition going on. And, you acquire, let's say you're able to keep Brody, acquire Zadorov, acquire Tanev. Well, what does that mean for a Connor Timmins who you haven't even seen play? What does that mean for Liljegren, who you're not going to be able to see play for a while? What is Mark Giordano going to be forced to play as offside? Or do you just keep William Lagesson in? And there's, I think they're actually kind of in a good position where even though their D hasn't been great, it's recovered a bit, and you're seeing guys in your depth that have a little bit more than you thought. Lagesson, how many people had a real opinion about Lagesson before he started playing?
Only Oilers fans.
Alan Walsh.
Yeah, Alan Walsh. That's it. Simone Benoit. Just the 75,000 people who watched that video that I made. But that's it.
It's nuts that many people watch that.
I think it was actually more. But, so they have guys who can give them minutes. Mm-hmm. They need quality minutes, right? I don't know if I'm loving the Lagesson-Benoit pairing in the playoffs, but
the one thing I will hear from Leafs fans and discuss about the John Klingberg LTIR situation is that it was a huge swing and miss from Brad Treliving.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a complete disaster signing both Reeves and Klingberg, because if this is how it played out, where you got to scratch one and then you can bury that money eventually in Ryan Reeves, and the other one, the money doesn't matter anymore because it's going on LTIR, all of that money could have been used for other players on July 1st that could be in the lineup right now. And that is a huge blunder a month into your tenure as general manager.
I keep hammering the name Matt Dumba. And the Leafs had a multi-year on the table for him, and I guess he turned it down. That's what we've heard. And then he didn't get a multi-year from anybody else, and then ended up in Arizona for basically the same money they paid Klingberg.
Now, what if this isn't shenanigans, but it is?
What do you mean?
He knew that there were problems.
Reeves will not be good, and Klingberg will play 12 games.
No, so Reeves was just a stupid decision. That wasn't good. That was terrible. But Klingberg, think about it.
I want to.
It's an appealing idea.
Yeah.
We have this guy who could put up
at his best
40 points from the back end in a bad season. But on this Leafs team, he could return to 10 goals, 60 points. He had 10 goals last year, right? Or, because we know he has these nagging injuries, if he's not ready to go, we could simply put him on LTIR. So you look at it as a no-risk move, because you're well, either he's good or he's not able to go and we just LTIR the guy. That happens. Mm-hmm. That happens around the league all the time.
I don't think the Leafs are too fussed about it. I really don't think they're worried about it internally. I don't. I don't see that. I
do genuinely believe they're trying to get him to a place where he's John Klingberg again.
I think that was part of it. They wanted a redemption arc there a little bit. Yeah.
And it started great. Mm-hmm. It looked really good
at
the beginning. And I was like, well, hot damn, check out John. Oh, that was a weird decision from John. Oh, now it's exclusively weird decisions. He can't stand up. Oh, he's out of the lineup. Hey, he's back. He looks fine. The plane injured him.
I just look at the
dude, it's bad.
I look at the $5.5 million in those two players, and I say it could have been spread out a little differently.
Yep, 100%.
Isn't it weird that it's exactly 5.5?
Why? Why is that weird?
I don't know. Just they have two cap hits that are funny, and they just add up to a not funny cap hit. No,
I don't see the humor in the number.
It's not humor.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't see the humor in the number.
Is
anybody?
We're not being hard on Steve, are we?
No, I feel like this one is.
That's a Steve.
This
thing.
is a Steve.
Yeah, ain't that funny, Steve? I guess it is.
What if I'm just,
3
obsessed with round numbers that aren't round?
1.350 plus 4 1
And it's not an odd number. It's an even number. It's crazy.
They add up together to 5.5.
Nice round number. Yeah. I think. No, I think.
What if go fuck yourself?
Here's what they can't
What
do.
about that?
Here's what they can't do. Next year, Nylander's deal is going to be 10 and a half at this point. So
12.
God.
12
At this point.
What is it? What's
he
my
might win a
guess?
Hart Trophy.
Get ready to speak 14 million E's, buddy.
That deal's going to be expensive, and they're going to keep him. So
Well,
I think they're going to keep him.
Is he going to break Gretzky's record?
For what?
Point streak to start a season.
I hope so.
I think it's at 50 games.
50, yeah, 52? Is it 52?
Gretzky, yeah. Was that true? What is the game?
Yeah.
Gretzky's?
You checked
Yeah,
this?
Drew and I were looking this up in Sweden. So he could get a point against the Blackhawks, right? Like, that'd be believable. Next game is against the Penguins. He could get a point against them. That's believable. And then I think there's one or two more after that. And then the game where it's either tie or break the record.
Not Gretzky's.
To start a season.
Yeah, to start a season. It's Gretzky's record.
Gretzky's is just season-long point streak.
What? He's that close?
He's only like 4 games away.
I thought it was 50 games.
No, it is 50 games. Isn't
No,
it?
to start the season, not point streak, just to
No,
start.
I thought Gretzky's to start a season was
It's
50
20,
games.
21, isn't it? Or 22?
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. He's like right there. Unless that's McDavid's active streak.
I'm looking it up. To start a season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys are wrong. No,
It's Gretzky. It's 51.
It's 51, you guys. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it was the 50 and 37 games.
They've been
that
showing
year.
it on the broadcast
Yeah,
for like,
I'm like,
2 weeks now, and I'm like, I'm not making this up.
Oh, sorry. I was in Sweden.
And Sundin tied him for the second longest, which was with the Norris.
Maybe
So
that's
maybe
what
it's
you're
the
doing. The
McDavid.
Sundin one.
Oh, I don't know.
The
Whatever.
30.
Fuck.
Yeah.
There's some record, and the game where he has the chance to beat him is Boston. But it's not that
The
interesting
McDavid
anymore.
record is today.
Yeah. it is
McDavid's
today.
is 17. Willie's at 17.
Yeah,
What the fuck
he
are
can
we
pass.
talking about?
He can pass McDavid, Zetterberg, and Andrechuk today.
Drew's looking it up.
I don't know. This was a long waste of time.
If he gets a point,
Why
in
did
the
I
next,
come today? Everything I've done was wrong.
because you had to do the lights.
You had to do the lights. You had to come in.
If Nylander gets a point today and a point tomorrow, he will be ahead of Bill Cowley, Marcel Dion, Dave Andrechuk, Hendrik Zetterberg, and Connor McDavid, and will be
Wow.
5th all time for longest point streaks to start a season. And he'll be behind Wayne Gretzky, Matt Sundin, and Wayne Gretzky, and Danny Heatley.
It's right there in front of you.
Drew and I were looking this up in Sweden. And then we went to a place that they said warm chocolate, and I was like, I wonder what that means.
Is that your
I wonder what that
Steve
means, Drew.
impression? Is that your Steve?
Warm chocolate, it's hilarious. You guys, warm chocolate.
Steven, what the fuck were you talking about?
I'm embarrassed. You know my favorite part about this is at no point.
Your friend's
At no point did anybody look up the record. Like,
Yeah.
you guys are searching the calendar and didn't even look up the record.
Well, I don't know what record you were talking about.
I thought we had
The longest Leaf one potential, or the longest.
Is Matt Sundin?
Yeah, Matt's.
No, he did
He did
that
it
with the
Nordiques. He
Nordiques.
did
That's
the
not.
Nordiques, but
That's not. Yeah.
The longest Leaf one, I don't even know, but
It's William Nylander.
Oh, it is William. Yeah,
It's his
And
record
then-
right now.
Now, the longest Leaf point streak ever was Mitch Marner last season.
Yes.
And so he's a few points behind that.
Sure. Or
A few games behind
I don't
that.
think he was
Maybe,
looking that up.
Do you think Steve was looking that
I
up?
think Steve thought 50 games hits in December.
Man, that made me laugh. Oh, my God. By the way, I just want to throw this out there. This is how bad the Leafs have been just generally for such a long time. Besides Nylander, I don't think there's any other Toronto Maple Leaf in the top 50. That's so embarrassing.
Oh, the point streak record?
Yeah, a point streak to start a season.
Yeah,
It's
that's
such
what's
a-
embarrassing. Oh, Drew figured it
Oh,
out.
you-
The longest point streak in Leafs history ever is 23 games.
Yes.
Longest.
That's what I said.
That's Mitch
streak in
Marner.
Leafs history.
last year. Oh, okay.
Cool.
Glad I brought that.
So
to the
glad
table.
that's what we were talking about.
No Leaf has had a playoff or a start of the season,
A point streak.
like
to
a point
the
streak to
season.
start the season that's gone over like 10. Other
That's
than this
okay.
guy. This is crazy.
But there's a lot of teams that don't have over 10.
Yeah.
Like if you look at that list, it's like 6 teams.
I know, but the thing is that like the Leafs are 108 years old. Like you'd think somebody would have been.
Yeah.
What a frustrating franchise.
Yeah.
Are you okay over there?
No.
I don't think I've ever laughed so hard at something. Oh my God. All right. So now there is one last thing that we want to hit as Movember winds up. Todd Skirving from the ECHL's Skirving, ECHL's Newfoundland Growlers reached out to you, Steve.
Yes. And we should help him out. Yeah, let's help him out. Adam has it right in front of me. He says, I'm doing a fundraiser this year for Movember. It's called the Scurvy 2.0.
Love that.
It's in honor of my dad, who is battling prostate cancer. My goal this year is to sell 500 shirts at $30 each. I'm assuming that's Canadian, obviously. That will help me raise $15,000. 15 is my jersey number for the Canadian Cancer Society. Daffodil Place of St. John's. Last year, I was able to do 10,000, but I was hoping to make a bigger splash this year. And then he was, we were talking about sharing it and reposting it and all that. But what's his Twitter handle, Adam?
I don't know because...
it should be right there.
No, it just says his name.
Oh, never mind. I'll look it up right now.
Because Twitter's bad now. But what I would say is
not wrong.
The Toronto Maple Leafs have never allowed us the pleasure of having an active Toronto Maple Leaf on this show ever. We've never had
we have Todd?
active Toronto Maple Leaf. So can we get Todd on
I'll ask.
as an active member of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization?
I'll go through the proper.
It's always funny too. By the way,
channels.
I just want to say a little. I want to say a little shout out to when Dubas used to do his rounds, he'd do the one radio station and then he'd do the other radio station. And I'd be like, hey, listen, man.
Hey, Adam. Fun thing about those
gotta talk
radio
to us, too.
stations, just like quirky little tidbit about them. They own the team.
You know what?
So
I feel like there's got to be a competition brewing.
It's just a little silly.
They might write his paycheck.
I don't like it.
I
don't like it.
Todd Skirving, TODD SKIRVING. That is his Twitter handle, and in his description, there is a link, but I don't think that's to the shirt. Damn it, we're gonna help him sell.
We will put it in the description of this show.
Yes.
Love it
Yes.
on Spotify and on.
I found the link. There it is.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Wherever you're listening or watching, just hit up the description and you'll hit the link there. You can support a great Movember cause.
Are we doing a press conference?
No, because we got to go watch a Leafs game.
Okay,
we
well,
got
let
to
me
send
just-
Steve home.
Let me say this to everybody that reached out to me about NHL linesman Tyson Baker blocking Dennis Gilbert's head from falling on the ice. Man, I know I gave linesman a bunch of shit about a month ago. That was spectacular.
This is heroic.
Absolutely amazing
Yep.
move. And as much as I give them shit for like fake dropping the puck, and it's like, they're offsides that aren't really offsides.
I believe
and we go
you
on
said
for
you
45
hate their
seconds.
families.
No, I said kick them out of the country is what I said.
Wow.
No, I want to do a big shout out to him for that. That was an unbelievable move. And frankly, it was amazing to see. And that he even had the foresight to think about that.
Yep.
That's just instinct.
Yeah.
That's just instinct, man. And good on him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there is one good linesman.
Oh my gosh.
Adam!
There's one. I'm kidding. Linesmen around the world are just so upset right now.
Oh, man.
Wow, it's too bad that refs and linesmen are they're so hard to get angry, aren't they?
No, he's
not defensive at all.
I don't know if it's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 games from now, but he's actually going to break the record for best linesman.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Adam, did you see the drama between Scott Foster and Chris Paul?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Steve, I assume you've seen
Yes.
this. So Scott Foster, longtime NBA referee and Chris Paul, longtime point guard in the NBA, now currently on the Phoenix Suns. They have drama that dates back like decades, going back to when Chris Paul played for the Clippers.
He's on the
By the way,
Warriors
isn't
now,
Scott
Or
Foster?
sorry, I said Phoenix
Is
Suns.
Scott Foster not a bit notorious? Am I wrong on that?
Yes, he is
Okay.
notorious for this in particular about his battle with Chris Paul, and he threw him out of the game. He gave him back-to-back technical fouls on what was it? Tuesday night the game happened.
This is recent.
Chris Paul?
Yeah,
Text?
because they have personal drama, and they because he was just yapping at
Yeah.
him, and they asked Chris Paul after the game, like, so what's going on with you and Chris Paul? And Chris Paul is just up on the podium, and he goes, "That's between me, Scott Foster, when I was on the Clippers, my dad, my child, and that's between us."
He said it's personal.
It's personal. That is a personal thing we have against each other.
Which
and he
how
said
don't
it
how
into
don't
a
you
mic.
investigate that immediately?
How is Scott Foster allowed to ref any game between Chris Paul with
Like,
Chris Paul on it?
You
can't.
have to
He can't play. You can't ref those games.
at least until the NBA has done a satisfactory look into that situation. I mean, you have a player in the NBA saying this ref has a personal bias against me.
Into a microphone in front of reporters.
You can't have him do another Warriors, or if he's traded any game that Chris Paul is in, you can't have him do another Chris Paul game because then that becomes the sideshow.
That's the biggest storyline going into the game is Chris Paul versus Scott Foster. That's
Man.
what the TNT panel would talk about pregame.
Man.
This is a player who's
We
been
can't have this.
ridiculously successful in his career. He's done like everything but win a ring.
Yep.
And his record with Scott Foster, like, isn't it his playoff record?
Yeah, just overall, he has a terrible record against them.
It's like Sheldon Keefe's record, or the Leafs record with Wes McCauley times like 3. Like, it's ridiculous. He's like 1-20 or something stupid like that.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know exactly what the record is.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up
Jesse's
right
looking it
now.
up right now. It is wild.
As of now, Chris Paul holds a 3-17 postseason record with Scott Foster on the sidelines. Chris Paul says it's personal with Foster, and it involves his son. So,
Dude, that is personal.
He's only got a
You can't argue that.
15% chance of winning.
3-17 in postseason games.
The NBA must have done some sort of investigation. The one thing that Adam Silver is a very forward-thinking guy most of the time.
Wow.
He's got some questionable decisions, but I think compare him to David Stern, and then before that, freaking Larry O'Brien. I don't know how much you know about Larry O'Brien, but
No.
Yeah, no, Adam Silver's good. I would think Adam Silver has looked into that. I would feel like
I think
he's
now
on,
he needs to. Like, I think now
but
that,
he's got to make the results of that investigation public now.
I would hope so.
Like-
If this was the NHL, everything would just go on as it is.
Is Chris Paul not one of the chairmen of the NBAPA? Like, he's up
I
there with
believe
like
he still
LeBron.
high up.
is. I don't know if he still maintains that petition, but up until like a few years ago, he was.
No, in the NHL, you can just like shove a player, almost break their ankles, and get a promotion. So.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Bunting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%. I feel
Oh,
like
I don't recall them saying they're sorry.
I'm sorry to Michael Bunting
Yes.
for having to go
yes.
through that. Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we're gonna get out of here because it's Thanksgiving in America. It's a normal day for us, but we're getting out of here anyway. And Jesse's got to edit the show, and the Leafs are playing it too, right? So
You got an LFR to do this afternoon.
LFR
Afternoon LFR.
I think I'm gonna go home and might go to a coffee shop and in Sweden.
What is it, Steve? Where were you? Where did you guys do it?
You know what? I forgot.
Okay.
Jesse, if that's not a T-shirt by the end of today,
What?
Form chocolate. All right, we'll wrap it up. We'll see you guys Monday.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.